Ayan, we're live. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Ayan. Salamat sa Diyos. Napakabuti ng ating Diyos. Ito tayo.
the sons of Korah, a song upon Alamoth. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though the waters thereof roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake with the swelling thereof. Selah. There is a river, the streams whereof shall make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacles of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, she shall not be moved. God shall help her, and that right early. The heathen raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow, and cutteth the spear in sunder. He burneth the chariot in the fire. Be still, and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the heathen. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. Selah. Psalm 47. To the chief musician, a psalm for the sons of Korah. Oh, clap your hands, all ye people, shout unto God with a voice of triumph. For the Lord Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth. He shall subdue the people under us, and the nations under our feet. He shall choose our inheritance for us, the excellency of Jacob whom he loved. God is gone up with a shout, the Lord with a sing praises to God, sing praises, sing praises. For God is the King of all the earth. Sing ye praises with understanding. God sitteth upon the throne of his holiness. The princes of the people are gathered together, even the people of the God of Abraham. For the shields of the earth belong unto God. He is greatly exalted. Psalm 48. A song and a psalm for the sons of Korah. Great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised in the city of our God, in the mountain of his holiness. Beautiful for situation, the joy of the whole earth is Mount Zion, on the sides of the north, the city of the great King. God is known in her palaces for a refuge. For lo, the kings were assembled, they passed by together. They saw it, and so they marveled. They were troubled, and hasted away. Fear took hold upon them there, and pain as of a woman in travail. Thou breakest the ships of Tarshish with an east wind. As we have heard, so have we seen in the city of the Lord of hosts, in the city of our God. God will establish it forever. Selah. We have thought of thy loving kindness, O God, in the midst of thy temple. According to thy name, O God, so is thy praise unto the ends of the earth. Thy right hand is full of righteousness. Let Mount Zion rejoice. Let the daughters of Judah be glad because of thy judgments. Walk about Zion, and go round about her. Tell the towers thereof. Mark ye well her bulwarks. Consider her palaces, that ye may tell it to the generations following. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even unto death. Psalm 49, to the chief musician, a psalm for the sons of Korah. Hear this, all ye people. Give ear, all ye inhabitants of the world, both low and high, rich and poor together. My mouth shall speak of wisdom, and the meditation of my heart shall be of understanding. I will incline my ear to a parable. I will open my dark saying upon the harp. Wherefore should I fear in the days of evil, when the iniquity of my heels shall compass me about? They that trust in their wealth and boast themselves in the multitude of their riches, none of them can by any means redeem his brother, nor give to God a ransom for him. For the redemption of their soul is precious, and it ceaseth forever, that he should still live forever, and not see corruption. For he seeth that wise men die, likewise the fool, and the brutish person perish, and leave their wealth to others. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. Nevertheless, man being in honor abideth not. He is like the beasts that perish. This their way is their folly, yet their posterity approve their sayings. Selah. Like sheep they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning, and their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwelling. But God will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. Selah. Be not thou afraid when one is made rich, when the glory of his house is increased. For when he dieth, he shall carry nothing away. His glory shall not descend after him. Though while he lived he blessed his soul, and men will praise thee when thou doest well to thyself. He shall go to the generation of his fathers. They shall never see light. Man that is in honor and understandeth not is like the beasts that perish.
Amen. Ano sabi niya daw? Sa Psalms 49 verse 16, huwag kang matakot pagka may yumaman. Pagka ang kaluwalhatian ng kanyang bahay ay lumago. Sapagkat pagka siya'y namatay ay wala siyang dadalhin. Ang kanyang kaluwalhatian ay hindi bababang susunod sa kanya. Amen. Kaya, praise God.
Psalm 50, a psalm of Asaph. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion the perfection of beauty God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous.
Sa ko mo adto ikaw, mag-uban ka na ako. Sana sa ko mukuyog ikaw.
Psalm 51. To the chief musician, a psalm of David, when Nathan the prophet came unto him, after he had gone into Bathsheba. Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness. According unto the multitude of thy tender mercies, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity, and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall shew forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. Do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. Psalm 52. To the chief musician, Maskil, a psalm of David, when Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul, and said unto him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor, working more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Selah. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away, and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living. Selah. The righteous also shall see, and fear him. Lo, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise thee forever, because thou hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints. Psalm 52. To the chief musician, Maskil, a psalm of David, when Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul, and said unto him, David is come to the house of Ahimelech. Why boastest thou thyself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of God endureth continually. Thy tongue deviseth mischiefs, like a sharp razor working deceitfully. Thou lovest evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Selah. Thou lovest all devouring words, O thou deceitful tongue. God shall likewise destroy thee forever. He shall take thee away, and pluck thee out of thy dwelling place, and root thee out of the land of the living. Selah. The righteous also shall see, and fear, and shall laugh at him. Lo, this is the man that made not God his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in his wickedness. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of God. I trust in the mercy of God forever and ever. I will praise thee forever, because thou hast done it, and I will wait on thy name, for it is good before thy saints. Psalm 54. To the chief musician, on Neganoth, Maskil, a psalm of David, when the Ziphims came and said to Saul, Doth not David hide himself with us? Save me, O God, by thy name, and judge me by thy strength. Hear my prayer, O God. Give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers are risen up against me, and oppressors seek after my soul. They have not set God before them. Selah. Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul. He shall reward evil unto mine enemies. Cut them off in thy truth. I will freely sacrifice unto thee. I will praise thy name, O Lord, for it is good. For he hath delivered me out of all trouble, and mine eye hath seen his desire upon mine enemies.
Nanilain mo bakit mo presensya mo? Di ko ipainuha ang presensya
Psalm 54, to the chief musician, on Neganoth, Maskil, a psalm of David, when the Ziphims came and said to Saul, Doth not David hide himself with us? Save me, O God, by thy name, and judge me by thy strength. Hear my prayer, O God. Give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers are risen up against me, and oppressors seek after my soul. They have not set God before them. Selah. Behold, God is mine helper. The Lord is with them that uphold my soul. He shall reward evil unto mine enemies. Cut them off in thy truth. I will freely sacrifice unto thee. I will praise thy name, O Lord, for it is good. For he hath delivered me out of all trouble, and mine eye hath seen his desire upon mine enemies. Psalm 55, to the chief musician, on Neganoth, Maskil, a psalm of David. Give ear to my prayer, O God, and hide not thyself from my supplication. Attend unto me and hear me. I mourn in my complaint and make a noise, because of the voice of the enemy, because of the oppression of the wicked. For they cast iniquity upon me, and in wrath they hate me. My heart is sore pained within me, and the terrors of death are fallen upon me. Fearfulness and trembling are come upon me, and horror hath overwhelmed me. And I said, Oh, that I had wings like a dove, for then would I fly away and be at rest. Lo, then would I wander far off, and remain in the wilderness. Selah. I would hasten my escape from the windy storm and tempest. Destroy, O Lord, and divide their tongues, for I have seen violence and strife in the city. Day and night they go about it upon the walls thereof. Mischief also and sorrow are in the midst of it. Wickedness is in the midst thereof. Deceit and guile depart not from her streets. For it was not an enemy that reproached me, then I could have borne it. Neither was it he that hated me, that did magnify himself against me, then I would have hid myself from him. But it was thou, a man mine equal, my guide, and mine acquaintance. We took sweet counsel together, and walked unto the house of God in company. Let death seize upon them, and let them go down quick into hell, for wickedness is in their dwellings and among them. As for me, I will call upon God, and the Lord shall save me. Evening and morning, and at noon will I pray, and cry aloud, and he shall hear my voice. He hath delivered my soul in peace from the battle that was against me, for there were many with me. God shall hear and afflict them, even he that abideth of old. Selah. Because they have no changes, therefore they fear not God. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. Cast thy burden upon the Lord, and he shall sustain thee. He shall never suffer the righteous to be moved. But thou, O God, shalt bring them down into the pit of destruction. Bloody and deceitful men shall not live out half their days, but I will trust in thee. Psalm 56, to the chief musician, upon Jonath Elam Rechokim, Miktam of David, when the Philistines took him in Gath. Be merciful unto me, O God, for man would swallow me up. He fighting daily oppresseth me. Mine enemies would daily swallow me up, for they be many that fight against me, O thou most high. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. In God I will praise his word, in God I have put my trust. I will not fear what flesh can do unto me. Every day they wrest my words. All their thoughts are against me for evil. They gather themselves together. They hide themselves. They mark my steps when they wait for my soul. Shall they escape my iniquity? In thine anger cast down the people, O God. Thou tellest my wanderings. Put thou my tears into thy bottle. Are they not in thy book? When I cry unto thee, then shall mine enemies turn back. This I know, for God is for me. In God I will praise his word. In the Lord will I praise his word. In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid what man can do unto me. Thy vows are upon me, O God. I will render praises unto thee. For thou hast delivered my soul from death. Wilt not thou deliver my feet from falling, that I may walk before God in the land of the living?
Ayan, connect muna natin ito. Okay.
Sa kumain mo butang, nakanunay atong makauban ng Ginoo. Sa atong mga paglakaw, sa atong mga pagdalbaho, sa tanong ko pagkabahato, hindi ka ay makauban ako sa kanunay. Sa matagal lang, gusto ko nakauban ka. Sa matagal ka, sa tanang buhaton ko, gusto ko nakauban ka. Kay ikaw man, kanunay hindi ko ang hangin ng iginhawa. Ikaw ang akong puso, ikaw ang akong gugma, ikaw ang tanan. Kay ikaw man. Sa matagal lang, gusto ko nakauban ka. Sa matagal ka, sa tanang buhaton ko, gusto ko nakauban ka. Kay ikaw man, kanunay ngiti mo kay ikaw man, ang hangin nagiginhawa. Ikaw ang akong puso, ikaw ang akong gugma, ikaw ang tanan. Kay ikaw man, kanunay ngiti mo kay ikaw man, ang hangin nagiginhawa. Ikaw ang akong puso, ikaw ang akong gugma, ikaw ang tanan. Kay ikaw man, kanunay ngiti mo kay ikaw man, ang hangin nagiginhawa. Ikaw ang akong puso, ikaw ang akong gugma, ikaw ang tanan. Ikaw ang akong puso, ikaw ang akong gugma, ikaw ang tanan. Ikaw ang akong puso, ikaw ang akong gugma, ikaw ang tanan. Kay ikaw man.
Lifestyle online sale. Simula ang 15 sa Abril.
Tomorrow occurs again.
I'd like to taste a real Italian coffee, please.
What is the real Italian coffee?
Let's put it.
Makaka-copyright tayo sa kaping ito. Yan.
If there is only one chance in a million, then why? If this dream is too big, if dreaming... Pagayok po ay halaran ka. Ihalat ko kanimo sokog mga tinguha ko. Paminawa kini maamo mahong dalik o guni. Dan ako Ginoo inigbalik unya nimo ayaw kalimti ani ako nagpaabot ka nimo. Dan ako Ginoo sapin nga anak ka sa imong tinan. Pagayok buwan ug halaran ka. Ihalat ko kanimo sokog mga inuha ko. Paminawa kini maamo mahong daig o guni. Kat ako Ginoo inigbalik unya nimo ayaw kalimti ani ako ani ako. Kat ako Ginoo inigbalik unya nimo ayaw kalimti ani ako. Kat ako Ginoo inigbalik unya nimo ayaw kalimti ani ako. Nagpaabot kanimo kanimo kanimo.
Ito guys.
Wala'y nalilong kanimo, wala'y natago kanimo. Bisag gihuna-huna ko pala, nasayran mo ng daan kay wala pa akong matao. Isusi mo na ang kinabuhi ko, walay gayon nga mibulag ka na ko. Di mong mga mata. Bisan nasa ko mo ato ikaw, matubay ka na ko. Bisan nasa ko mo tago ikaw, magsunod ka na ko. Wala ako'y mabuhat na dili mo makita akong Diyos. Wala'y Kalilukan ni mo, walay natagukan ni mo. Kay bisang iuna-una ko wala, nasayran mo ng daan, kay wala pa akong matao. Isusi mo na ang kinabuhi ko, walay gayon nga ibulag ka na ako, ang imong mga mata. Isa na sa buwato ikaw, mag-ubang ka na ako. Bisa na sa kumutago ikaw, magsunod ka na ako. Wala ako'y mabuhay na dili mo makita akong Diyos. Mutago man ako ilang sa kadagatan, bisa na sa paningkalimutan. Tapunan sa kangipin o dili na sila ang agaw magbalik, walay gayon na italigdan mo ako. Bisa na sa kumuwato ka, magubang. Bisa na sa kumutago ka, magsunod na ako. Wala ako'y mabuhay na di mo makita akong Diyos. Mutago man ako ilang sa kadagatan, bisa na sa panining kalimutan. Isang pagkapunan sa kapikit, dili na ang siglang ang hadapan pa. Walay gayon nga italigdan mo ako. Isa na sa kumuwato ikaw, magubang ka na ako. Bisa na sa kumutago ikaw, magsunod ka na ako. Wala ako'y nabuhay akong Diyos.
Nahimog suko ning kalibutan, uban sa dako nga katuyuan. Iniksutong ko sa kalangitan, mga bulan no kabituunan, imong gipahimutan. Mga pag-antos ning kinabuhi, imong gipas.
Ecclesiastes chapter 1. When the son of David was king in Jerusalem, he was known to be very wise, and he said,
"Nothing makes sense. Everything is nonsense. I have seen it all. Nothing makes sense. What is there to show for all of our hard work here on this earth? People come and people go, But still, the world never changes. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. It hurries right back to where it started from. The wind blows south, the wind blows north. Round and round it blows over and over again. All rivers empty into the sea, but it never spills over. One by one, the rivers return to their source. All of life is far more boring than words could ever say. Our eyes and our ears are never satisfied with what we see and hear. Everything that happens has happened before. Nothing is new. Nothing under the sun. Someone might say, here is something new. But it happened before, long before we were born. No one who lived in the past is remembered anymore, and everyone yet to be born will be forgotten too. I said these things when I lived in Jerusalem as king of Israel. With all my wisdom, I try to understand everything that happens here on earth. And God has made this so hard for us humans to do. I have seen it all, and everything is just as senseless as chasing the wind. If something is crooked, it can't be made straight. If something isn't there, it can't be counted. I said to myself, you are by far the wisest person who has ever lived in Jerusalem. You are eager to learn, and you have learned a lot. Then I decided to find out all I could about wisdom and foolishness. Soon I realized that this too was as senseless as chasing the wind. The more you know, the more you hurt. The more you understand, the more you suffer.
Ecclesiastes chapter 2.
I said to myself, have fun and enjoy yourself. But this didn't make sense. Laughing and having fun is crazy. What good does it do? I wanted to find out what was best for us during the short time we have on this earth. So I decided to make myself happy with wine and find out what it means to be foolish without really being foolish myself. I did some great things. I built houses and planted vineyards. I had flower gardens and orchards full of fruit trees, and I had pools where I could get water for the trees. I owned slaves, and their sons and daughters became my slaves. I had more sheep and goats than anyone who had ever lived in Jerusalem. Foreign rulers brought me silver, gold, and precious treasures. Men and women sang for me, and I had many wives who gave me great pleasure. I was the most famous person who had ever lived in Jerusalem, and I was very wise. I got whatever I wanted and did whatever made me happy. But most of all, I enjoyed my work. Then I thought about everything I had done, including the hard work. It was simply chasing the wind. Nothing on earth is worth the trouble. I asked myself, what can the next king do that I haven't done? Then I decided to compare wisdom with foolishness and stupidity. And I discovered that wisdom is better than foolishness, just as light is better than darkness. Wisdom is like having two good eyes. Foolishness leaves you in the dark, but wise or foolish, we all end up the same. Finally, I said to myself, being wise got me nowhere. The same thing will happen to me that happens to fools. Nothing makes sense. Wise or foolish, we all die and are soon forgotten. This made me hate life. Everything we do is painful. It's just as senseless as chasing the wind. Suddenly, I realized that others would someday get everything I had worked for so hard. Then I started hating it all. Who knows if those people will be sensible or stupid? Either way, they will own everything I have earned by hard work and wisdom. It doesn't make sense. I thought about all my hard work and I felt depressed. When we use our wisdom, knowledge, and skill to get what we own, why do we have to leave it to someone who didn't work for it? This is senseless and wrong. What do we really gain from all of our hard work? Our bodies ache during the day, and work is torture. Then at night, our thoughts are troubled. It just doesn't make sense. The best thing we can do is to enjoy eating, drinking, and working. I believe these are God's gifts to us. and no one enjoys eating and living more than I do. If we please God, He will make us wise, understanding, and happy. But if we sin, God will make us struggle for a living. Then He will give all we own to someone who pleases Him. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
Everything on earth has its own time and its own season. There is a time for birth and death, planting and reaping, for killing and healing, destroying and building, for crying and laughing, weeping and dancing, for throwing stones and gathering stones, embracing and parting. There is a time for finding and losing, keeping and giving, for tearing and sowing, listening and speaking. There is also a time for love and hate, for war and peace. What do we gain by all of our hard work? I have seen what difficult things God demands of us. God makes everything happen at the right time, yet none of us can ever fully understand all He has done, and He puts questions in our minds about the past and the future. I know the best thing we can do is to always enjoy life, because God's gift to us is the happiness we get from our food and drink, and from the work we do. Everything God has done will last forever. Nothing He does can ever be changed. God has done all this so that we will worship Him. Everything that happens has happened before, and all that will be has already been. God does everything over and over again. Everywhere on earth, I saw violence and injustice instead of fairness and justice. So I told myself that God has set a time and a place for everything. He will judge everyone, both the wicked and the good. I know that God is testing us to show us that we are merely animals. Like animals, we breathe and die, and we are no better off than they are. It just doesn't make sense. All living creatures go to the same place. We are made from earth, and we return to the earth. Who really knows if our spirits go up and the spirits of the animals go down into the earth? We were meant to enjoy our work, and that's the best thing we can do. We can never know the future.
Ecclesiastes chapter 4.
I looked again and saw people being mistreated everywhere on earth. They were crying, but no one was there to offer comfort, and those who mistreated them were powerful. I said to myself, the dead are better off than the living. But those who have never been born are better off than anyone else, because they have never seen the terrible things that happen on this earth. Then I realized that we work and do wonderful things just because we are jealous of others. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind. Fools will fold their hands and starve to death. Yet a very little food eaten in peace is better than twice as much earned from overwork and chasing the wind. Once again, I saw that nothing on earth makes sense. For example, some people don't have friends or family, but they are never satisfied with what they own, and they never stop working to get more. They should ask themselves, why am I always working to have more? Who will get what I leave behind? What a senseless and miserable life. You are better off to have a friend than to be all alone, because then you will get more enjoyment out of what you earn. If you fall, your friend can help you up. But if you fall without having a friend nearby, you are really in trouble. If you sleep alone, you won't have anyone to keep you warm on a cold night. Someone might be able to beat up one of you, but not both of you. As the saying goes, a rope made from 3 strands of cord is hard to break. You may be poor and young, but if you are wise, you are better off than a foolish old king who won't listen to advice. Even if you were not born into the royal family and have been a prisoner and poor, you can still be king. I once saw everyone in the world follow a young leader who came to power after the king was gone. His followers could not even be counted, but years from now, no one will praise him. This makes no more sense than chasing the wind.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5.
Be careful what you do when you enter the house of God. Some fools go there to offer sacrifices, even though they haven't sinned. But it's best just to listen when you go to worship. Don't talk before you think, or make promises to God without thinking them through. God is in heaven, and you are on earth, so don't talk too much. If you keep thinking about something, you will dream about it. If you talk too much, you will say the wrong thing. God doesn't like fools, so don't be slow to keep your promises to God. It's better not to make a promise at all than to make one and not keep it. Don't let your mouth get you in trouble. And don't say to the worship leader, "I didn't mean what I said." God can destroy everything you have worked for, so don't say something that makes God angry. Respect and obey God. Daydreaming leads to a lot of senseless talk. Don't be surprised if the poor of your country are abused, and injustice takes the place of justice. After all, the lower officials must do what the higher ones order them to do. And since the king is the highest official, he benefits most from the taxes paid on the land. If you love money and wealth, you will never be satisfied with what you have. This doesn't make sense either. The more you have, the more everyone expects from you. Your money won't do you any good. Others will just spend it for you. If you have to work hard for a living, you can rest well at night, even if you don't have much to eat. But if you are rich, you can't even sleep. I have seen something terribly unfair. People get rich, but it does them no good. Suddenly, they lose everything in a bad business deal, then have nothing to leave for their children. They came into this world naked, and when they die, they will be just as naked. They can't take anything with them, and they won't have anything to show for all their work. That's terribly unfair. They leave the world just as they came into it. They gained nothing from running after the wind. Besides all this, they are always gloomy at mealtime, and they are troubled, sick, and bitter. What is the best thing to do in the short life that God has given us?
Amen.
I think we should enjoy eating, drinking, and working hard. This is what God intends for us to do. Suppose you are very rich and able to enjoy everything you own. Then go ahead and enjoy working hard. This is God's gift to you. God will keep you so happy that you won't have time to worry about each day.
Ecclesiastes chapter 6.
There is something else terribly unfair, and it troubles everyone on earth. God may give you everything you want, money, property, and wealth. Then God doesn't let you enjoy it, and someone you don't even know gets it all. That's senseless and terribly unfair. You may live a long time and have 100 children, but a child born dead is better off than you, unless you enjoy life and have a decent burial. That child will never live to see the sun or have a name, and it will go straight to the world of darkness, but it will still find more rest than you, even if you live 2,000 years and don't enjoy life. As you know, we all end up in the same place. We struggle just to have enough to eat, but we are never satisfied. We may be sensible, yet we are no better off than a fool. And if we are poor, it still doesn't do us any good to try to live right. It's better to enjoy what we have than to always want something else, because that makes no more sense than chasing the wind. Everything that happens was decided long ago. We humans know what we are like, and we can't argue with God, because He is too strong for us. The more we talk, the less sense we make. So what good does it do to talk? Life is short and meaningless, and it fades away like a shadow. Who knows what is best for us? Who knows what will happen after we are gone?
Ecclesiastes chapter 7.
A good reputation at the time of death is better than loving care at the time of birth. It's better to go to a funeral than to attend a feast. Funerals remind us that we all must die. Choose sorrow over laughter, because a sad face may hide a happy heart. A sensible person mourns, but fools always laugh. Harsh correction is better than the songs of a fool. Foolish laughter is stupid. It sounds like thorns crackling in a fire. Corruption makes fools of sensible people, and bribes can ruin you. Something completed is better than something just begun. Patience is better than too much pride. Only fools get angry quickly and hold a grudge. It isn't wise to ask, why is everything worse than it used to be? Having wisdom is better than an inheritance. Wisdom will protect you just like money. Knowledge with good sense will lead you to life. Think of what God has done. If God makes something crooked, can you make it straight? When times are good, you should be cheerful. When times are bad, think what it means. God makes them both to keep us from knowing what will happen next. I have seen everything during this senseless life of mine. I have seen good citizens die for doing the right thing, and I have seen criminals live to a ripe old age. So don't destroy yourself by being too good or acting too smart. Don't die before your time by being too evil or acting like a fool. Keep to the middle of the road. You can do this. Truly respect God. Wisdom will make you stronger than the 10 most powerful leaders in your city. No one in this world always does right. Don't listen to everything that everyone says, or you might hear your servant cursing you. Haven't you cursed many others? I told myself that I would be smart and try to understand all of this, but it was too much for me. The truth is beyond us. It's far too deep. So I decided to learn everything I could and become wise enough to discover what life is all about. At the same time, I wanted to understand why it's stupid and senseless to be an evil fool. Here is what I discovered. A bad woman is worse than death. She is a trap, reaching out with body and soul to catch you. But if you obey God, you can escape. If you don't obey, you are done for. With all my wisdom, I have tried to find out how everything fits together, but so far I have not been able to. I do know there is one good man in 1,000, but never have I found a good woman. I did learn one thing. We were completely honest when God created us, but now we have twisted minds.
Ecclesiastes, chapter 8.
Who is smart enough to explain everything? Wisdom makes you cheerful and gives you a smile. If you promised God that you would be loyal to the king, I advise you to keep that promise. Don't quickly oppose the king or argue when he has already made up his mind. The king's word is law. No one can ask him, "Why are you doing this?" If you obey the king, you will stay out of trouble. So be smart and learn what to do and when to do it. Life is hard, but there is a time and a place for everything, though no one can tell the future. We cannot control the wind or determine the day of our death. There is no escape in time of war. No one can hide behind evil. I noticed all this and thought seriously about what goes on in the world. Why does one person have the power to hurt another? I saw the wicked buried with honor, but God's people had to leave the holy city and were forgotten. None of this makes sense. When we see criminals commit crime after crime without being punished, it makes us want to start a life of crime. They commit hundreds of crimes and live to a ripe old age, in spite of the saying, everyone who lives right and respects God will prosper, but no one who sins and rejects God will prosper or live very long. There is something else that doesn't make sense to me. Good citizens When we see criminals commit crime after crime without being punished, it makes us want to start a life of crime. They commit hundreds of crimes and live to a ripe old age, in spite of the saying, everyone who lives right and respects God will prosper, but no one who sins and rejects God will prosper or live very long. There is something else that doesn't make sense to me. Good citizens are treated as criminals, while criminals are honored as though they were good citizens. So I think we should get as much out of life as we possibly can. There is nothing better than to enjoy our food and drink and to have a good time. Then we can make it through this troublesome life that God has given us here on earth. Day and night I went without sleep, trying to understand what goes on in this world. I saw everything God does, and I realized that no one can really understand what happens. We may be very wise, but no matter how much we try or how much we claim to know, we cannot understand it all.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9.
I thought about these things. Then I understood that God has power over everyone, even those of us who are wise and live right. Anything can happen to any of us, and so we never know if life will be good or bad. But exactly the same thing will finally happen to all of us, whether we live right and respect God or sin and don't respect God. Yes, the same thing will happen if we offer sacrifices to God or if we don't, if we keep our promises or break them. It's terribly unfair for the same thing to happen to each of us. We are mean and foolish while we live, and then we die. As long as we are alive, we still have hope, just as a live dog is better off than a dead lion. We know that we will die, but the dead don't know a thing. Nothing good will happen to them. They are gone and forgotten. Their loves, their hates, and their jealous feelings have all disappeared with them. They will never again take part in anything that happens on this earth. Be happy and enjoy eating and drinking. God decided long ago that this is what you should do. Dress up, comb your hair, and look your best. Life is short, and you love your wife, so enjoy being with her. This is what you are supposed to do as you struggle through life on this earth. Work hard at whatever you do. You will soon go to the world of the dead, where no one works or thinks or reasons or knows anything. Here is something else I have learned. The fastest runners and the greatest heroes don't always win races and battles. Wisdom, intelligence, and skill don't always make you healthy, rich, or popular. We each have our share of bad luck. None of us know when we might fall victim to a sudden disaster and find ourselves like fish in a net or birds in a trap. Once I saw what people really think of wisdom. It happened when a powerful ruler surrounded and attacked a small city where only a few people lived. The enemy army was getting ready to break through the city walls, but the city was saved by the wisdom of a poor person who was soon forgotten. So I decided that wisdom is better than strength. Yet if you are poor, no one pays any attention to you, no matter how smart you are. Words of wisdom spoken softly make much more sense than the shouts of a ruler to a crowd of fools. Wisdom is more powerful than weapons. Yet one mistake can destroy all the good you have done.
Ecclesiastes chapter 10.
A few dead flies in perfume make all of it stink, and a little foolishness outweighs a lot of wisdom. Sensible thoughts lead you to do right. Foolish thoughts lead you to do wrong. Fools show their stupidity by the way they live. It's easy to see they have no sense. Don't give up your job when your boss gets angry. If you stay calm, you'll be forgiven. Some things rulers do are terribly unfair. They honor fools, but dishonor the rich. They let slaves ride on horses, but force slave owners to walk. If you dig a pit, you might fall in. If you break down a wall, A snake might bite you. You could even get hurt by chiseling a stone or chopping a log. If you don't sharpen your axe, it will be harder to use. If you are smart, you'll know what to do. The power to charm a snake does you no good if it bites you anyway. If you talk sensibly, you will have friends. If you talk foolishly, you will destroy yourself. Fools begin with nonsense, and their stupid chatter ends with disaster. They never tire of talking, but none of us really know what the future will bring. Fools wear themselves out. They don't know enough to find their way home. A country is in for trouble. Its ruler is childish, and its leaders party all day long. But a nation will prosper when its ruler is mature, and its leaders don't party too much. Some people are too lazy to fix a leaky roof. Then the house falls in. Eating and drinking make you feel happy, and bribes can buy everything you need. Don't even think about cursing the king. Don't curse the rich, not even in secret. A little bird might hear and tell everything.
Ecclesiastes chapter 11.
Be generous, and someday you will be rewarded. Share what you have with 7 or 8 others, because you never know when disaster may strike. Rain clouds always bring rain. Trees always stay wherever they fall. If you worry about the weather and don't plant seeds, you won't harvest a crop. No one can explain how a baby breathes before it is born. So how can anyone explain what God does? After all, He created everything. Plant your seeds early in the morning and keep working in the field until dark. Who knows? Your work might pay off, and your seeds might produce. Nothing on earth is more beautiful than the morning sun. Even if you live to a ripe old age, you should try to enjoy each day, because darkness will come and will last a long time. Nothing makes sense. Be cheerful and enjoy life while you are young. Do what you want and find pleasure in what you see. But don't forget that God will judge you for everything you do. Rid yourself of all worry and pain, because the wonderful moments of youth quickly disappear.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12.
Last chapter.
Keep your Creator in mind while you are young. In years to come, you will be burdened down with troubles and say, I don't enjoy life anymore. Someday the light of the sun and the moon and the stars will all seem dim to you. Rain clouds will remain over your head. Your body will grow feeble. Your teeth will decay, and your eyesight fail. The noisy grinding of grain will be shut out by your deaf ears, but even the song of a bird will keep you awake. You will be afraid to climb up a hill or walk down a road. Your hair will turn as white as almond blossoms. You will feel lifeless and drag along like an old grasshopper. We each go to our eternal home, and the streets are filled with those who mourn. The silver cord snaps, the golden bowl breaks, the water pitcher is smashed, and the pulley at the well is shattered. So our bodies return to the earth, and the life-giving breath returns to God. Nothing makes sense. I have seen it all. Nothing makes sense. I was a wise teacher with much understanding, and I collected a number of proverbs that I had carefully studied. Then I tried to explain these things in the best and most accurate way. Words of wisdom are like the stick a farmer uses to make animals move. These sayings come from God, our only shepherd, and they are like nails that fasten things together. My child, I warn you to stay away from any teachings except these. There is no end to books, and too much study will wear you out. Everything you were taught can be put into a few words. Respect and obey God. This is what life is all about. God will judge everything we do, even what is done in secret, whether good or bad.
Life is short. Kaya sabi, eat, enjoy, eat, drink, and be merry. And don't forget God. Doon nating hayaang hindi natin mai-enjoy yung mga pinagpapaguran natin. Hindi. Dapat daw habang nagtatrabaho tayo, gumagawa ng mga gawain, kailangan nag-i-enjoy tayo sa araw-araw. At huwag kalimutang respetuhin ang Diyos. Hallelujah. Napakasarap mga kapatid ang salita ng Diyos. Oh, thank you Lord. So, God bless everyone. Sa lahat ng magigising pa lang o kagigising lang, sana'y pag narinig nyo to, pag napanood nyo to, pakinggan yung mabuti mga kapatid. It's a wisdom from the Lord, from the Word of God. Kung ano yung mga practical na sitwasyon ng tao. Yung sa Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Sabi niya, everything there is a season. Lahat ang buhay natin ay may season. Kung ngayon parang bulaklak tayong namumukadkad, hindi natin alam ang bukas. Kaya ang sabi niya, enjoy life because life is short. Yeah. Huwag tayong sa mga bagay na hindi natin naiintindihan, huwag na nating problemahin. Ipasa Diyos ang lahat ng bagay, ang hindi mo nauunawaan, ibigay mo sa Diyos. Kasi hindi natin hawak ang ating bukas. Kaya ngayon sa kanta nga, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. Kahit na anong mangyari, or mangyari na ang mangyari, hindi tayo dapat mag-worry basta nasa Diyos tayo. Kaya, mga kapatid, madaming bagay ang sinasabi sa Book of Ecclesiastes na mapagkukunan natin ng lesson, mapagkukunan natin ng courage. Kasi Book of Wisdom. Sino nga ba nagsulat ng Ecclesiastes? Okay. So, kung babasahin na to, ulitin natin ang Ecclesiastes, napakaraming bagay ang matututunan natin. Kaya, sa buhay na literal, o sa mga bagay na practical, huwag nating alisin yung mag-enjoy tayo. Paano nga ba mag-enjoy? Paano mo i-enjoy yung buhay mo sa araw-araw? Paano mo i-enjoy? Kasi isipin mo, sabi niya, nagpapagal ka, nagtatrabaho ka para yumaman ka. Sabi niya, pag mamatay ka, hindi mo naman madadala yung mga perang pinagpaguran mo, yung mga perang naipon mo, yung mga kayamanang inimpok mo, hindi mo madadala. Kundi sabi niya, naked ka na lumabas, naked ka ding babalik. So, wala tayong madadala talaga. Yung wisdom na yon talagang nakakapagbigay sa atin ng reminders na kahit na anong effort yung ibigay natin para makuha natin lahat ng mga kayamanang gusto natin. Pagdating ng panahon, napakasarap naman talaga kasi kailangan natin yun sa araw-araw din na may pagkain ka, may gagastusin ka. Kung gusto mong para sa mga anak mo, may gagamitin ka. Pero ang sinasabi niya dito ay isang wisdom na kung magtatrabaho ka na lang na magtatrabaho at makakalimutan mo mag-enjoy sa buhay mo, ibang usapan yun. Ang sabi niya, habang nagtatrabaho ka, kailangan mong i-enjoy. Kasi may mga mayayaman na may kakilala ako na mayaman na siya, milyonaryo siya. Kahit chinilas kapatid, ayaw niya magsuot ng magandang gamit. no? Lalabas ng bahay nakapaa-paa. Pagkatapos sa edad niyang ano na, yung matanda na siya, hindi niya nakita yung yaman niya. Kasi yung yaman niya naka-invest dun sa mga lupa, naka-invest dun sa negosyo, na which is may mga tao siyang nag-aasikaso. Kahit mayaman na siya, nagtatrabaho pa rin siya, dun pa rin, pumupunta pa rin siya sa ano, pumupunta pa rin siya sa farm, gano'n. Nakapaa-paa, tapos ayaw pa niyang sumakay ng sasakyan. Hindi natin alam anong reason niya, pero hindi niya nakikita yung yaman niya na kung tutuusin, sobra-sobra para sa sarili niya. Kaya mapapaisip ka, ano pa kaya yung ano, yung yaman na gusto niya at hinahanap niya, ba't nagkakagano'n pa siya, 'di po ba? Kaya, kailangan nating pasalamatan ang lahat ng mga ano, ang lahat ng mga blessings na natatanggap natin para alam natin kung gaano tayo kayaman sa Diyos. Kung gaano tayo pinagyayaman ng Diyos sa mga bagay na hindi nabibili ng pera. Kagaya, sige po tita, sige po, thank you po. Kagaya ng ano, sabi niya, count your blessings, name them one by one. Para malaman mo kung papaano ka pinagpapala ng Diyos. Kasi 'pag hindi ka na marunong ano, hindi ka na marunong magpasalamat sa Diyos, hindi mo makikita yung mga blessings na binigay niya nung nakaraang mga araw, nung nakaraang linggo, nung nakaraang buwan, nung nakaraang taon. Kung ang hinaharap mo ngayon ay problema, mahirap pasalamatan po 'yun. Pero pagka yung bigyan mo ng panahon yung ano, yung silent, yung quiet time mo, wala kang gagawin kundi pasalamatan mo lang ang Diyos. When you start thanking the Lord, i-start mo lang na magpasalamat sa Diyos. Ire-remind ng Diyos ang lahat-lahat ng mga ginawa niya, ang lahat-lahat ng mga pagpapala niya, ang lahat-lahat ng mga katagumpayang napagtagumpayan mo. Mga bagay na napagtagumpayan mo, yung mga pagsubok na nakaya mo, yung um, mga problema na nalagpasan mo. Ire-remind lahat ng Diyos 'yon. Kasi hindi natin kayang malagpasan 'yon, hindi natin kayang mapagtagumpayan ang lahat ng 'yon kung hindi ire-remind ng Diyos. Kung hindi tayo tinutulungan ng Diyos. Isang mga pagpapala 'yon galing sa Diyos. So, let's start thanking the Lord sa araw ng Martes sa Pilipinas. Bagong umaga, bagong araw, bagong pag-asa. Bago po bumangon mga kapatid, magnilay-nilay muna't magpasalamat sa Diyos. Yung mga bagay, kung papaano ka pinagpapala ng Diyos at tinutulungan na mapagtagumpayan ang lahat ng mga pinagdadaanan sa buhay. Yung 1 year na pandemya na lang, 1 year na pandemya kung papaano ka pinakain ng Diyos, papaano niya sinupply pangangailangan mo, papaano niya kinip yung pamilya mo na safety, na walang nangyari. Kung may mga nangyari man, may mga bagay na nire-reveal ang Diyos. Sa oras ng pandemya, hindi tayo hinayaan ng Diyos, hindi tayo pinabayaan ng Diyos. Hindi tayo nalungkot, hindi tayo nalugmok. Dahil yung inspiration na binigay ng Diyos sa araw-araw sa kanyang mga salita, mga kapatid, yun yung nag-i-energize sa atin. Yung para sa mga OFW na nasa malalayong mga lugar na kagaya ko, pasalamatan natin always ang Diyos because the Lord is good. The Lord is faithful to His promise. Kasi malayo man tayo, hindi man natin nakasama yung mga pamilya natin, pero kinikip niya tayo. Binibigyan tayo ng strength. Binibigyan tayo ng courage ng Diyos. Malampasan yung mga pagsubok, mga tentasyon sa buhay. Yung, alam mo yung tinutulungan ka ng Diyos kahit sa mga sitwasyon na nasa trabaho ka sobrang pagod. Pero andun pa rin yung, in spite sa sobrang pagod, andun pa rin yung kalakasan, andun pa rin yung, alam mo yung joy sa loob, na yun yung pagka nag-ignite yun biglang lakas ka, nagagawa mo pa rin gawin yung mga bagay. Kahit na inaantok ka na sa sobrang pagod mo, kahit na masakit na ang likod, kahit na masakit na ang paa. Pero andun yung kakaibang joy na binibigay ang Diyos sa araw-araw para magampanan at makaya natin ang ating mga gawain. Kaya mga kapatid, be strong and don't forget to be happy. Sabi nga, eat, drink, and be merry. Sabi. Pero huwag kaligtaan na pasalamatan, irespeto, at sundin ng Diyos. Ayun. Huwag daw kaligtaan na pasalamatan, huwag kaligtaang sundin ang Diyos. Kaya, sundin natin ang Diyos, whatever it takes. Amen? Amen. Ang Diyos ay amang puno ng pagmamahal. Mayaman siya sa grasya. Mayaman siya sa pagmamahal. Kung nagkakamali ka man, huwag mong ilayo yung sarili mo sa Diyos. Kasi siya yung tatay mo. Pero nakadepende sa pagkakilala kasi natin sa Diyos. Kung ang Diyos ay nakilala mo na matapang na Diyos, siyempre matatakot kang lumapit sa Kanya. Pero kung ang Diyos ay nakilala mo bilang isang Ama na mapagmahal, na puno ng grasya, yung Diyos na faithful, yung Diyos na hindi ka iiwan kahit na anong sitwasyon mo, hindi ka matatakot mga kapatid na lumapit sa Diyos. Hindi ka matatakot na tumawag muli sa Diyos. Kahit na nagkakasala ka, kahit na nagkukulang ka, hindi ka matatakot na yung lapitan mo siya at yung parang ama mo na maglalambing ka. Ganon. Kasi siya yung ama natin. Walang ama na kayang tiisin ng anak. Kaya, ang kikilalanin natin ng Diyos na siya ang Diyos na pinakamabuting Diyos na hindi tayo iiwan. Diyos na hanggang ngayon mga kapatid, gagawin ang lahat para lang tayo'y mapalapit muli. So, huwag kang lumayo. Advice ko, huwag kang lumayo kahit na anong sitwasyon sa buhay. Kahit anong pinagdadaanan, kahit anong problema. The more na may problema ka, the more na lalapit ka. The more na nagsasuffer ka, may nararamdaman ka, the more na lumapit ka sa Diyos. Ipapakita niya kung ano siya at gaano kanya kamahal. So, God bless everyone. Have a good night. It's 1 a.m. here. Hindi ako makatulog. Kaya, napakasarap at napakabuti ng Diyos sa kanyang mga salita. Kahit ako'y sa pakikinig ko ng salita ng Diyos, kagaya ninyo mga kapatid, ito'y kalakasan natin. Dito nang gagaling ang lakas natin. Nakakaya natin ang lahat ng bagay. So, have a good day. Good morning sa Pilipinas. Good morning sa ano mga yan? Good afternoon kay Ma'am Luisa Opilak. Good night dito sa Israel. Patulog pa lang ako. Sa lahat na matutulog, good night po. Sleep well. Sa lahat ng gigising na may pag-asa, may bagong ligaya, damhin ang grasya ng Diyos, ang pagmamahal ng Panginoon sa ating buhay at sa ating mga pamilya. Huwag kalimutang pasalamatan ng Diyos kasi ginising tayo ng Diyos. Hindi tayo tuluyang nakatulog. Kasi kung tuluyan tayo nakatulog at wala nang gising, ay di ibang usapan na yon. No? Though yun yung hindi natin makukontrol. Kaya lang, syempre pag matutulog ka sa gabi, ina-expect mo na magigising ka pa sa kinaumagahan. Kaya pagka kinabukasan at nagising ka, pasalamatan ng Diyos. Then, huwag kalimutan mga kapatid, pasalamatan at bilangin ang mga pagpapalang binibigay ng Diyos, mga pagpapalang nararanasan mo at natatanggap mo, para naman ma-enjoy mo yung mga araw, mga buwan, mga taon na ibinigay ng Diyos, kung gaano niya tayo pinagpapalat iniingatan. Amen ba? So, be faithful in serving the Lord. Do good. Sabi nga, yung golden rule, sabi niya, do unto others what you want others do unto you. Kung ano yung gagawin mo ngayon, yun yung aanihin mo kinabukasan. Kung hindi man bukas, sa sunod na araw. Pero aanit-aani ka sa lahat ng iyong mga gagawin. Have a good night. Stay blessed.